Welcome to Season 5, Episode 47 of Radio Labyrinth. The Gen X pop culture podcast covers anything movies, TV, radio, podcasts, as long as we like them. I'm your host, Tim Andrews. I don't have much of a voice today, but I'm going to muddle through it. A regional, semi-famous Atlanta radio guy, and my co-hosts are Jeff Leboff and Stephanie Swain. Joining us this week is intergalactic superstar W. Earl Brown. He's an actor, screenwriter, producer, painter, musician, songwriter, and friend of the show from episode 89. Possibly best known to our listeners is Dan on Deadwood, Hugo Root on Preacher, and now Weequay on Season 2, Episode 1 of The Mandalorian. Please welcome W. Earl Brown.
Yay! Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on again, man. I'm just
thanks so much for doing this.
Marveled by your office decorations. I think they're pretty cool.
Oh, that's just a part of it. You got to see. I have a huge display of action. I collect action figures of people that I know because I just thought it was cool as hell when I started a career. Like there would be, hey, I know that dude because I had all these toys as a kid. Well, I've been doing this for so long. I got a bunch of freaking toys. So.
Well, you're going to have your own toy, hopefully, right? You know, you're in the Star Wars universe. Wait.
Yeah. I mean, there's no guarantee. I was scanned for one, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed because that way I can stay in and play with myself all day long.
Did they ever make Deadwood figurines or anything like that? No?
No, there wasn't. I keep hoping Something About Mary was the one I expected because, you know, there's Animal House, Big Lebowski, Spinal Tap, all the famous comedies. There's stuff, you know, there's Hangover stuff, and no one ever did anything. I'm hoping that Disney, having bought Fox, somebody in that marketing division will realize this is a property that ancillary has not been taken advantage of. Because I really want a Warren figure is what I want.
At least a Funko Pop, you would think that they would have that for sure. Because
you would think.
So we're all, actors, podcast hosts, everybody quarantined at home. So this is how we're doing things now. But I guess it's made it easier to do interviews. You don't have to go in any place or go appear any place. But do you miss that? Do you miss working or are you back to work?
I did a small film here in LA in late August and September with Elijah Wood, a little $2 million indie. And then I have been resuming work. Yeah. We're starting back up on something else that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Well, you weren't really allowed to talk much about Deadwood when you were on first, right?
No, and I've sat for a year that I was the Weequay and because my NDA was 7 pages long. So I, in regards to that show, I don't know what I can and can't talk about. So, because I'm bursting with the news because the hell Star Wars is what made me want to be in movies.
Really?
You know, that feeling of sitting there in that theater, watching the Imperial Star Destroyer flying overhead and that, oh my God, feeling was the first time that I thought, man, I'd love to be a part of something like that. Well, now I am.
What character would you have wanted to play? Do you remember thinking to yourself back then, was there a certain character that you thought to yourself, that's who I would play or that's who I would be?
Oh, Jabba. No, see, I was right at the age, we were talking about this, Tim and Pedro and I were chatting about it when we were shooting. Tim Olyphant, who plays Cobb Vanth, and then Pedro, the Mandalorian. And I've known Pedro for years also. I was right. I'm a little bit older, just a few years older than Tim. Of course, Pedro's considerably younger. I was right at the cusp. I was going into high school when Star Wars came out. And, I was a man. And, it would hurt my Q rating in the hall if I'd been seen playing Star Wars. I remember when all the action figures came out that Christmas, I so wanted them. But, I can't ask for toys. I'm a man now. So I'd see the little kids playing Star Wars with their paper wrapping paper tubes. And I would so want to go and be a part of that. But I was too old. So I thought. So, I just waited for 40 years.
You
And
showed
now,
them.
Yeah.
you damn right. You damn right.
That Christmas, there were 12 figures, right? I got all 12 of them. I got a TIE fighter and the X-Wing. And that was it. I opened them last, thankfully, because if my mom had given to me first, that would have been it. I would.
You got those certificates for them because they didn't even have them manufactured.
Must have
You
been
could get them for
78. then.
Christmas.
Must have
Yeah,
been
you
78.
Yeah, you would get the certificate saying they were going to be mailing them to you.
Yeah.
So you didn't start getting them until like February or March that I think kids were actually getting them. But I knew because there were ads and stuff that I saw for Christmas for the Kenner toys. But again, I have all my Johnny West toys. Those survived. Which I got those when Johnny West came out when I was like 5 or 6, and those were my favorites.
Who's Johnny West?
It was the Legends of the Old West, I think it was called. It was oh God, what was the name of the manufacturer? They were 12-inch cowboy toys. So they were my faves. I used to take the bad guy, and that was called Sam Cobra.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
He looked like Al Swearingen. And one day on Deadwood, I got one of my kids' Barbie dolls, and I got my Sam Cobra, and I took him to the set, and I put him behind the bar. Between setups, I would set him on top of the bar and start doing Al and Trixie dialogue with Barbie and Sam Cobra.
Did you
fun?
Did you get excited when that Star Wars television special came on? My mom let me stay up and watch it, so I remember the Boba Fett cartoon. But
the Christmas special, you know what? I don't remember. I think I missed it. I do not remember it. I mean, I saw it years later on VHS, and it's horrible. Horrible.
Right.
Like it's still embarrassing to watch.
Yeah.
You know? I don't think I saw it because I know I would have remembered that. It'd be like Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, something I was so eager to see and then so mightily disappointed.
Yeah, I remember watching that too. We've got to get out of here. That's the only line I remember. Paul Stanley. We've got to get out of here.
You were looking for someone, but it isn't Kiss. Now, I love that movie. I watched that movie at least twice a year. As a matter of fact, during the pandemic, this was about probably 6 weeks ago now, Matt Penfield came over and we set up my outdoor movie screen and we watched Kiss Meets the Phantom socially distanced in my backyard.
Oh my God, I used to live for 120 minutes. I used to watch it all the time.
Oh, that's right. He was the host. He had a radio show in New York City too. One of my coworkers was his producer, Greg Russ. He was the producer, one of the producers of that show, that Matt Penfield show. I forget the station. It's gone now. Stations come and go. Rock stations. Most of them gone.
Yeah. I think he was on K-Rock out here because he moved back out to LA a couple of years ago. He got ran over.
He did?
And he damn near died. I saw it in the news, and I hadn't talked to him. And he moved back to New York, and we'd kind of fallen out of contact. And I saw in the news, so I reached out to him, and he got ran over in Hollywood, like crossing the street. A car came around the curve and flipped him up over the top of it and split his skull open.
Man.
So that's what put us back in touch, and then we've stayed in touch ever since.
You had said earlier that your wife works for Disney, and I'd read this in an Entertainment Weekly article last week. She knew about Baby Yoda, but when you were on set, you didn't know. You just thought it was a prop.
Yeah, when I started the day before the show premiered.
Okay.
She didn't know the entire. I don't know exactly how much she knew, but she knew some stuff.
Yeah.
So for 2 weeks, I'm just Star Wars, talking about this and that and Star Wars. And I had my lightsabers, and I'd carry my lightsaber around the house. And she didn't say anything. So I get on set, and the props guy, I was talking with Pedro and with Tim, and props guy just takes his cart across the way, and I see a Baby Yoda in the cart. And my initial thought was, oh, that's so cute. The props guy went and made a Baby Yoda for himself. That's darling. Because my sides just said the child. So Nothing was explained to me. And I was only given the scenes that I was in. I wasn't given anything else. And then John and Dave, Favreau and Filoni, they fill me in. This is what you need to know. You know, the Boba Fett, how Cobb Vanth ended up with Boba Fett, Sarlacc. I actually confused the Crate Dragon with the Sarlacc in explanation because I thought Sarlacc moved underground. But anyway, that's going a little deep. They just told me what I needed to know. So I didn't know. I just thought there's a kid in the scene. So I see the props guy move the cart across, see the little baby Yoda. Oh, that's sweet. Well, then, all right, places. So when Pedro makes his entrance, there's a puppeteer with one of the baby Yodas on a stick.
Nice.
So, and that's when I realized, like, oh, my God, that's the child. So when I got home that night, because I said, you know what? You know what's in this show? There's a baby Yoda. And she just got this smile on her face. I'm like, you already knew.
That's great.
So, yeah.
She's still holding stuff back, though, I bet, that you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's very, all of Disney, they are very aware of info. They don't want it to leak out and take on a life of its own. So my wife is that way even here at the house.
I think most of the people that are Star Wars fans, I think The Mandalorian may be the best thing they've done since the old movies.
I absolutely agree.
And I think it's so cool that you got to be in the best thing that they've done. And it's like Favreau, he should do, if they do any more movies, he should be the one who does all the movies. It's like
him and Dave, yeah.
Well, Filoni, Dave did the animated shows.
Yeah.
And he was like that Star Wars nerd, I've just only been around him at work. I don't really know him. I've known Favreau. We started out as actors at the same time in Chicago. So I've known Jon for years. But what he recognized is what the original movies had was just this sense of fun.
Mm-hmm.
That the prequels and the sequels, I liked them. I've seen every single one. I have every single one on Blu-ray, but they were so self-serious at times. They got heavy-handed. And then watching that behind the scenes where Carrie Fisher was talking in an interview, and she said, the first movie, we're making this little Western in outer space. And she goes, George, we were just trying to make George laugh because he was so stressed out. And like that sense of just silly fun is what made those movies. And I think Favreau and Filoni recognize that. And that's Mandalorian's fun, man. I look forward to it, man, every week.
And it has that Western feel to it, that especially that first episode, obviously, with you and with Tim Olyphant, and it playing a marshal, surprisingly. When I saw that he was going to be on Fargo this season, I'm like, I wonder if he's going to play a federal marshal. Oh, look, he's a federal marshal. But that feel like, I don't know, like, what is that? The Mandalorian's kind of like a Clint Eastwood type of Western figure, doing these little quests with a goal in mind of getting to where he's going. And it's just so much fun, and the stories are easy. And like you said, it's not heavy-handed. There's not a lot of emotion. You're rooting for him, you're rooting for Baby Yoda, and occasionally there's frog people.
I mean, the music and the score is fantastic. And at the end, I always look forward to the end because I love to see the animation at the end and they wrap it all. The whole thing is great.
Have you watched Archives, the series that follows the making of it?
I haven't watched that.
There's an episode on the score where they talk to that guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name at the moment, but yeah, I like it almost as much as I like the show.
I was hoping that they would,
about the directors. There's all facets of the show. There's an episode that focuses.
I was hoping that they would go right into the season 2 of that, along with this one. But I guess I'll wait till they run the whole season 2.
Well,
and
they shot stuff for that. I guess I can say that they shot stuff for that while I was on set. Because Jon said, this other camera crew, there's a behind the scenes thing for Star Wars fans that they're doing. So they're going to be in and out just shooting stuff. Just ignore that. Let's focus. Right. So they did shoot stuff for more of the Archives.
Yeah, that show's great. Gallery, it's called. Gallery.
That's right.
Mandalorian, yeah.
Yep.
When you got started out acting, this was also in that entertainment article, and you've already said this, but you knew you would run into Jon at auditions, Jon Favreau, and other people too, like Chris Farley. Were you friends with him as well?
I
or just run into it?
Chris, because when Second City, I'll try to make a long story short. The summer of '85, I drove up to Chicago every weekend from Murray, Kentucky, 840-mile round trip. Don DiPolo was the guy. He was the only teacher. He was the only guy teaching that. And he was an old school Second City guy. And he took me under wing. Yeah, he was out on the road with the touring company that played my college. And I met him afterwards, and I don't know, he saw something. So that summer, he made room for me. So I got up there and like, I'm just Chicago. This is where I'm going to go. I got to get up there. I'm going to get in Second City. Then I'm going to get in SNL. And I'm going to get in movies. And that was my plan, just like my hero, Belushi. Mm-hmm. So I had been there. This would have been November. So I'd been there like 3 or 4 months in graduate school. And Don calls me and he goes, "Do you want to join our touring company?" I said, "Yep." He goes, "You'd have to quit your MFA." I said, "I don't care." He said, "Well, we're replacing the big guy. We're hiring somebody new. Look, I'll talk to Joyce. I'll take care of things. You got to go through the formality of the audition, but be there Saturday. Unfortunately, I'm out of town, and I'm not directing this. Del Close is. He's got this kid over at the Improv Olympic that he's crazy about." It was Farley. So it was between me and Farley for that gig. So that was my first big showbiz lesson of getting kicked in the balls, because like, I'm sure this is going to happen. I'm Don's guy, So I knew Chris from that. That's where I first met him. So I went back, I was in school and he was in Second City. I saw him do the 2 or 3 reviews. And then right when I finished school, I want to say there was about a year overlap, but I do remember seeing him at commercial auditions. It was him, Jeff Garlin, Curb Your Enthusiasm, the Goldbergs, Jim O'Hare from Parks and Rec, Andy Richter. And so, yeah, we were always auditioning for the same beer commercials. And Favreau, I remember, John was always cartooning. Yeah. I knew he worked at the Second City. He was a busboy at the Second City. And I don't think they never let him in the company either. They claim him as an alumni, but he was never an actor with them. But I can remember my most vivid memory is he'd be sitting there cartooning all the time. He had his sketch pad with him. So I knew him from that. And then when I'd been out here, I came out here before, when I crossed paths with him at a thing that a mutual Chicago friend had. This is right around the time I was shooting Scream. And it was around the same year. Anyway, I said, "How?" And he had lost like 100 pounds. Like, he was skinny. And I said, "Jon Favreau? Hey, man." And so we're chatting, and I said, "What are you up to?" And he goes, "Well, I wrote this movie about our lives." He goes, "You remember Vince Vaughn? Did you know him in Chicago?" "Yeah, me and Vince. It's I don't know, it's just about a bunch of us hanging out, going to swing dancing clubs. So, yeah, we got the money. I think we're going to make it." So that was Swingers.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Steph?
No, I was just going to ask, so like the whole rockabilly lifestyle, that was pretty comfortable for you doing Reprisal then, I guess, huh?
Oh yeah. That was, I had a lot of fun doing that show. My favorite, that episode 7, that first 15 minutes where you get to know his whole history was.
It was great. I wanted you to have your own show. I mean, I felt like that was enough for you to have your own show.
I think it's one of the best 15 minutes of film that I've been a part of. I thought it was quite good.
I love Abigail Carter, like anything she's in. I loved her as Samantha on Rectify. And she just did, like, there's that show Wayne. I don't know if you've seen Wayne on Prime. She did a small role in that where she plays the mom and she's like bipolar and has all these.
The dad was the preacher from Deadwood on Wayne.
Oh, Ray?
Okay. Yeah, Ray.
Yeah, Ray, yeah.
Well, see,
it's on Amazon Prime. You should check it out. It's called Wayne.
Yeah,
real good.
Rectify. He came to, yes, he came down and did Reprisal. I'm sorry. Yeah. He did a thing in the very beginning. I confused those two titles. Sound so much alike. And then there was a third one, our show that I did that was one word. But yes, it is confusing. Rectify is the greatest show that nobody watched. That show and American Crime on ABC were two shows that I just guest starred on Rectify. I was one of the main characters on American Crime. Those two shows are just extraordinary shows, and hardly anyone's seen them.
They were probably two of the best dramas that have, I think, been on television in the last 15, 20 years for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, your season of American Crime was, and Felicity Huffman was so good in that season too. I'll be glad whenever she's back on the scene. I'll be glad to see her again, back working again. She's such a great actress.
She's an extraordinary actress. That show for me was, it was so, that's where I started painting again, because I hadn't painted in years. I was so depressed because I didn't work enough. I'm working 1 day a week, essentially, and I couldn't really fly home, for a day or so. So I was stuck in Austin by myself, living by myself. And that show was so heavy, man. It just weighed on me psychologically and emotionally. So not the most fun that I've ever had in a location shoot, but the end result was extraordinary television.
When you were on set for The Mandalorian, how long did it take to get the makeup on?
3.5 hours.
So early call time, I would imagine.
Yeah. I did that once. I did Angel. I did a guest star on that where I played a demon, and I was all about it. Like, this is going to be so much fun. Oh my God. And that was 5 days and then 2 more days. So it was 7 days straight. And and I swore never again. I mean, you read the little essay that I wrote on social media. That was how my agent, when he called me about Mandalorian, I was actually in Wilmington finishing Reprisal. And my agent calls me and he said, what's your feeling on prosthetic gigs? No. Sheer misery. He goes, I know you said you hate them. Nope. He said, well, we have an offer. It's a TV thing. I said, nope, not doing it. Misery. He goes, well, it's Disney. I'll let them know. It's some new Star Wars thing, but it's TV. And that's The Mandalorian, because I knew about it. Because I remember when Favreau sold it, he'd sold the idea. And I said, The Mandalorian? Are you talking The Mandalorian? Is that what it's for? He goes, yeah. Jon Favreau's asked for you. So, yeah, I quickly changed my tune.
Yeah, no doubt.
Is Favreau the Deadwood fan that's casting everybody over there? Because Silas Adams was on this week.
Uh-huh. Well, I didn't know that Tim was cast. When I was there, they were doing my mold. One of the makeup guys, the mold to do all the prosthetics. You basically put a 5-gallon bucket of goo all over your head. Yeah. So they mold your head and face. I've done that a few times.
I used to work with Mike Manziel, I think he's one of the prop guys, makeup guys over there on Mandalorian.
Oh, he's working on it? Yeah, the name's familiar. Scott Stoddard did most of my stuff. He was my daily guy. But anyway, I think with Stoddard, he said, oh, yeah, Olyphant. And I went, Olyphants? He goes, that's who's playing the Cobb Vanth. It's Tim Olyphant. So that was news to me. So I texted or called Tim or something. I said, hey, we're doing Star Wars. Well, when we were on set rehearsing, Favreau, I said to Tim, right when we walk in, we're across the bar, and I went, you ought to pin on that badge. You're just hypocrite enough to wear it, which is a line of ours from Deadwood. Yeah. So he laughs, and he said something, that was Bullock from Deadwood. And everybody starts laughing, and Favreau goes, oh, my God, when I cast this, I did not consciously do this. I idolize David Milch. I think that is one of the greatest shows ever created, and I idolize David. But he pointed at Tim, and he went, we'd already hired you. And I just said, oh, get Earl Brown to play that. And he goes, I didn't consciously think that I was recreating Deadwood in space. But here we are, Deadwood in space. Yep. So
go ahead, Jeff.
Captain Bosch there on this week's episode looked like his mother fucked a Wookiee.
and he kept it secret too. I don't think I've seen him since.
It's sad he couldn't be for the movie
since we filmed it. I told a few people that I knew well. I would say, yeah, I'm in Star Wars. Don't tell anybody. But Titus was not. I'm sure he would have told me that he did it too. So.
When we talked to you last time, it was right before. It was when you were. I think you just got the news that you guys were going to do the movie, or you were. It was pretty set that you were going to do it.
Yeah, that was, gosh, that was what, 3 years ago?
Yeah, about 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'd gotten the material. We didn't have a firm green light until like July before we started shooting in September. So, but yeah, it looked like it was going to happen. And I'm so thankful that it did. You know,
Was it hard to step back in?
I'm sorry?
Was it hard to step back into the Dan Doherty role after so many years? And I was curious if you.
No, that was such a special project for all of us, every single person involved, that it was just a blessing to be back in that space with those people, to say hello and to say goodbye.
Right.
And Dave, David Milch was dealing with his own decline.
Right.
That's what he's writing about. He is Swearingen. And to be there with Dave and be a part of that, to see, it's not a secret. I'm not talking out of school. There's been a lot of press about it, but the disease had really taken its toll on him. I had not seen him in person in 2 years prior to our shooting the movie. And he had told me about his memory problems. And I don't think he had used the Alzheimer's word, because I don't know that he'd been formally diagnosed when I had last seen him face to face. But I knew he was having serious memory issues. But he was physically declined considerably from our fearless leader, from the series. Right. So dealing with that subject matter and being back in that place with Dave, with those people, was a blessing that will never leave me. The wedding scene, I invited Jason Isbell, is a huge Deadwood fan, and I've known Jason for years, and he came out. We basically had a 3-day Jason Isbell concert, because we had guitars. We're always playing, singing. Right. I got Jason Isbell there.
He owes us an REM cover album, because Biden won Georgia, and he said he would do that. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's all Georgia artists. It's not all REM, but he'll do an REM. But he has sworn all Georgia artists.
So he's going to do a Driving and Crying. Yeah.
Hmm? No, tell him what.
Maybe Pylon.
Mastodon.
Oh, nice. I used to wash that guy, the lead guitarist's hair. I worked at a barbershop for a while, so I'd wash that guy's hair. Bill from Mastodon.
Mastodon.
Yeah. Pretty proud of that.
Well, Jason, Ryan Adams is a huge metal fan, and they were really tight friends for years. And I think it was Ryan that introduced him to. I was surprised at how much heavy music that he knew, that he was aware of. So it wouldn't surprise me in the least if he threw a Mastodon tune on there.
That'd be cool.
You're friends with Chris Stapleton, aren't you?
I know Chris, yeah. I met him right when Traveler came out. I hosted this Waylon Jennings tribute in Austin, Texas, and Chris was on the bill. The record had just come out, and he and Morgan, his wife, they just blew me away at how talented they are. They first played Willie's Picnic on Saturday, which I was there, and I was standing on the side of the stage watching them, just jaw agape. That dude's, again, she's as talented as he is, and them together, so I met him at that, and then when I did Preacher, I'm friends with Mickey Raphael, who plays harmonica with Willie. Mickey was out with Stapleton, and they had a night off, and they were staying right by my house in Albuquerque, but the house I was renting. So we hung out for a night. This was right after Merle Haggard had died, and we spent about 4 or 5 hours sitting on the porch of what was the name of it? It's a little farm-to-table bed and breakfast place, the farm there, and that's where the band was staying. So yeah, we sang Merle Haggard songs for hours. Okay. And so yeah, I kind of got to know him then. But yeah.
How would his new album came out Friday. That's why I was wondering if you.
I've listened to it. Yeah, that and AC/DC's new record have just been on repeat.
That's an awesome record. AC/DC. It's a departure from their traditional sound. No, I'm kidding. It's not, but I love this.
Hey, through the mists of time, thematically, that's a little different. That's a little out of the box. The rest of the record, yeah, it's AC/DC.
been dropping records all summer long that you wouldn't even think of. There was over the year 2020. I keep saying summer, but it's almost over. But the Pretenders put out a new album. The Psychedelic Furs put out a new album. The bands that we grew up with and liked when we were younger and liked with, and then Sturgill put out a bluegrass of everything, and that's been on repeat.
My buddy Dave Ferguson produced that.
Really?
So I knew about those sessions. There will be a second one.
Yep.
There's a second one coming because even he says on the album, Volume 1, Cutting the Grass.
Yeah. That was the last show I went to before Corona. I mean, Corona had hit, but this was early March. My brother got me the tickets for Christmas, and we went up to see him. I forgot who opened. Another guy that's,
Tyler.
Yeah.
Red-haired guy from Kentucky, younger guy.
Yeah. Rocked. But
yeah,
I'd eaten a gummy, and I don't normally eat gummies, and I ate too much of it. So I'm sitting there the whole show just staring at the fog and looking at the checkerboard on Sturgill's stage, and I'm like, I'm gonna get Corona, and I was like, everything's flying around. There was this little kid, like not little, but this college kid having fun. He kept hitting me, and like, oh, he must think I'm some old douchebag, and he's like, dude, I'm so sorry, I'm just having fun. I'm like, no, have fun. Finally, during the break in between the two artists, he goes, man, I'm sorry. I go, no. I go, you're having fun. I ate too much weed, and I am not having fun. You enjoy yourself. He's like, you ate a gummy? Wow, old guy ate a gummy. Cool. That was the last show I went to, except for, a drive-in Metallica show, a couple months ago. But, that's not the same.
My last show was Kiss.
Oh.
In Fresno. Yeah. I'm sorry, Bakersfield. Kiss in Bakersfield. I saw him in Fresno at the beginning of that. So, yeah. Yep.
I love following.
I can't wait to go see live music again.
Same here.
I can't wait to play live music again.
And the Kiss Cruise, too. It'll be a while before they pull one of those off again.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah.
What do you think about, like, the people that are doing the comedy shows, that are doing the drive-in theaters and stuff like that, where people are just kind of sitting in their cars and
honk.
I guess it's better than nothing. I mean, you don't have that communal experience is kind of diluted because you're not in a community. Everybody's separated. We have no choice but to be separated. I'm taking this shit really seriously. Everybody here at my place is.
Yeah.
But hey, if Metallica was playing the drive-in movie theater near me, would I go? Yeah. But it's not going to be the same as being down in the pit during a show.
No.
At the Forum. No, not gonna have that. So
they did that. Go ahead, Steph. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I feel like that should be the theme of this entire year. Better than nothing.
Yeah.
Better than Leper Messiah, Call of Cthulhu. They recorded a show someplace where they live, San Francisco or Central California, Northern California.
They're in San Fran, that area. James has moved. I think he's in Colorado somewhere now or something. But yeah, Lars and the rest of the guys live there in San Fran area.
And it was fun to watch. Even, you're at a drive-in, so you get that real shitty FM signal, or you can listen to the speakers from behind you. But it didn't matter. It was just, there's people here. They're all probably Marines because it was near Paris Island. And it was just really cool. But then it was funny. James Hetfield's reading goes, we got some fuckers from Alaska. There's a movie theater in Alaska. There's some fuckers in Iowa. It was surreal, but it was like, I feel normal here, even though we're all wearing masks. And it was nice. I'm glad they did that, But yeah,
that's the thing. I was having this conversation with friends of mine in the music industry just a couple of days ago. We're going to have a smorgasbord of things to choose from when the world gets righted again. Mm-hmm. But the question mark remains of how many people can afford that. I think it's going to have reverberations beyond just resuming concerts, because so many people are out of work, and our economy's in such bad shape. People are not going to be able to afford $150 tickets every other week. So, I can't wait for it to happen, because I'm going to be at every show. I had tickets to see the things that this summer, the Stones in San Diego, Pearl Jam here, Roger Waters here, the Drive-By Truckers here. Seems like there was one other I missed. And I was wanting to go see Isbell in October when he does his run at the Ryman, because I've never been to any of those shows. So yeah, all of those will hopefully be rescheduled.
Yep.
You make a good point though, because I'm like, I'm just Joe Schmo going to the grocery store, and I mean, groceries have skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm definitely spending more at the grocery store than I ever have before, and I'm assuming that's just my sister said, is this like whenever our grandparents were like, I remember when bread was a nickel, and then all of a sudden it was $1 or something? Are we in that dip where that happened? Like, this is our era of that.
I remember when bread was $6. Did somebody freeze up, or did I freeze up?
No, I just I still had another Deadwood question though. If you want to get back into that, did you learn anything new about the real life Dan Daugherty between filming the show and filming the movie, or even afterward?
Nothing that I didn't already know.
Right.
I went up there. Well, I went up there several times, but once this dear, wonderful historian, Jerry Bryant, and he worked at the Adams House Museum, the regional Deadwood History Museum.
Right.
And he was a wonderful storyteller and just a font of knowledge. And he had already done so much. He knew that I was coming up, so he'd already done a lot of homework for me. He was dragging out all these original newspapers. So he had already traced down Dan's history and then showed me, some of the original paperwork and some of the original news articles. And so the real Dan Daugherty, and we tried to find his body. And he went through every cemetery there and could not find Daugherty. It appears as if he was shipped back east because he was married. His dad came, the real guy. The real guy's dad was in that initial burst of miners. And he'd been there for a couple of months when he wrote to Dan about all the gold that he was getting. So Dan was married and had kids.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Dan moves his family out there. Well, his wife hated it. She hated it. She wanted to go back to New York. That's, I think, where they were from. New York or Boston, somewhere in that area. And at one point, and Jerry had found this newspaper article. Her buckboard had turned over outside of town in the creek. And while indisposed, she was robbed at gunpoint. So she left. She took the kids and she moved back east. Daugherty stayed. There was no evidence they ever got divorced, but she took the kids and went back. He stayed there. He opened a brewery in Spearfish. Now, part of this Milch knew, because if you look back, he seeds it in the series, because Al is always tutoring me. When you have a place of your own, Dan, what you got to understand is,
Right.
So I think Milch may have been taking it in that direction, because what happened to the original Daugherty, he took over the Bella Union. Cy Tolliver is a fiction, a fictional character. All the rest of the male characters were out of the historical record. But the real Dan Daugherty owned the Bella Union. He was in partnership, the newspaper article said, with 4 other saloon keeps. Now, it didn't say what their situation was, but it appears to me that he controlled all the beer in town. So he kind of muscled his way into ownership with certain saloon keeps. He got in 1888, because it was 10 years, he was in an argument. It said argument with fellow saloon keeper, unarmed. Daugherty was unarmed. The others, it did not say if it was one of his business partners or who it was. It just said fellow saloon keeper. He shot Dan 3 times. Dan was running across the street back to the Bella Union, and he fell over in the middle of the street and bled out.
Wow.
So they think he was going to get his own gun because he'd been shot. So that's what happened to the real guy. We only suppose, because his wife had gone back and there was no evidence of a divorce, nothing was written about that his body was probably sent back to her. So that's what happened to the real guy. And that may have played out with Milch down the road, that I became, his rival of sorts. Who knows? Who knows how that story would have played in the mind of the genius. But that's the historical record.
Dan and Al were so close, it would have been a weird dynamic to see them being rivals.
Yep.
So many stories could have played out from that show.
It's terrible that it ended, but it also the movie did come in and give I don't like using this term, but I'm going to say it anyway, closure. I mean, or wrapping things. It was nice to see all those characters a little older, and just there in TV, because I go back into the very late 90s and the 2000s. There's 3 shows I love: The Sopranos, Deadwood, and Battlestar Galactica. And whenever one of the characters from that show or actors gets cast in something, I check it out. I love it because, and then this season of Mandalorian, to bring it back, is great because you have Katie Sackhoff, you have you have Titus Welliver, you have Timothy Olyphant, and it's like, I love this show because not only is it Star Wars, but all these people that I love are in it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. It's just, and then, it's like, I see you at the beginning of Preacher. I'm like, yeah. Oh, that bums me out sometimes, but it happens.
That was so much fun to do because Seth and Evan, they met in bar mitzvah class when they were 12.
Really?
This is in Vancouver. Preacher had just published. The original flat of the original Preacher had just published. They bonded over that comic book. There are these 12-year-olds having to learn their bar mitzvah and memorize that stuff. Hey, dude, do you know Preacher? Oh, I love Preacher. So imagine like your best friend from when you were 13 years old. And they started writing Superbad when they were 13. The characters are called Seth and Evan. Right. Because he said, we were watching these movies about teenagers, and it certainly didn't look like us or any teenagers we knew. So, they grew up these movie-obsessed comic nerds. So here, all these years later, with that success, Seth said the only letter he had ever written to a director, it was, I think Sam Mendes had the rights to Preacher to do it as a feature film. And Seth had some success at that point, and he wrote a letter to Sam asking if he could be Arseface. He said, it's the only letter I ever wrote to a director. So when the rights lapsed, they had already had the success of This Is the End. And they weren't supposed to direct that film. There was somebody else attached. And they had a parting of ways right before production. So like, hell, let's just direct it ourselves. So the success of that proved that they could direct a film. So they quickly snatched up Preacher and made it. So that feeling, that mood permeated the entire set. Like the thrill of being with your best friend from when you were 13, getting to tell the story that made you guys friends, getting to bring it to life and introduce it to other people.
And nailing it, by the way.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the comic book, they nailed it.
Yep. So yeah, I was very pleased. I knew because if the end of the comic, that's what I said when I met them. Do you know remember how Sheriff Root dies?
Mm-hmm.
In the comic book, the Preacher speaks to him in the voice of God. When the Root says to the Preacher, "Hey man, you," and then the voice of God, he goes, "No, yourself." So then the next frame is Root is in the hospital bed, having done just that, and he realizes where his penis now is, and he takes his gun and he blows his head off. That's the comic book.
Yep.
So when I went in to meet the guys, because I didn't know either of them, and they knew Deadwood, they knew a few things, and I said, well, at that point, I forget, I was like at 25 or something, deaths. But I said, I've died on screen 25 times, and I've really thought I'd pretty much shuffled off the mortal coil every way possible. I've been shot. I've been stabbed. I had my head ripped off by a monster. I've had a car wreck. I've fallen off a cliff. I've just pretty much done everything. Didn't think there was anything left possible as a way to die until I read this damn comic book. That's the something about, he goes, well, how do you think you do that? And I said, a lot of yoga. I'd have to be practicing some yoga.
Well, Earl, man, we appreciate you taking.
Yeah, can you tell us anything you're working on or anything you got coming up?
No, I cannot talk about what I start work on next week.
We can't see.
That's the only thing that's definite. There's a few things that are floating out there. The business is starting to slowly get back. There's a few things that my name is in the hat on that may or may not happen.
Any chance of coming back to Atlanta to do some work?
As much as work is there, right. Yeah, the chance is always pretty high you'll be going to Atlanta. There's nothing that Actually, there was one of those movies in Atlanta. I confused of what's what. I know there's a TV series in Chicago that, but there is one of those films I auditioned for is Atlanta. Yeah.
Oh, if things get back to normal when you get down to Atlanta, we'd love to have you on again.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
At the very least, we can go bowling or get a tattoo. Go ahead, Steph.
I was going to say, do you get any scripts? They ever float you any scripts where you're the leading man, where you're like the love interest or anything like that? Because I feel like you have leading man status written all over you. I've had an idea before of like you being the lead in a love story. I don't understand why you don't have, because you carry anything that you're in. So I just wondered if you get offers like that.
I have been the lead in a few movies, but I think probably the best of which that I was number one was a independent that we got 20 years ago called Dunsmore. It was released. It was out there. That's how I met Peter Spirer, who I started the band with, and we're still close friends. He directed that film. So yeah, man, I would love to, but no, it doesn't come my way that often. No.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, anyway, well,
and if it comes to intimate scenes, they're usually rape scenes.
I don't know. I remember more character actors that I remember, and loving their roles more than loving, the big lead or whatever. Look at Liam Neeson. I just saw a trailer for a movie that he's in. It looks just like Taken, except I don't know.
Yeah. That's because of the size of those paychecks.
No doubt.
I can think, there's a handful of character guys. I mean, the top of that list is Phil Hoffman. Now Phil, hell, I auditioned for what was the movie? It's called. It released his Money for Nothing. It was a John Cusack movie, and I was with the agents in Chicago. They represented John, and like they're gonna fly me out to L.A. Oh, they loved your taped an audition in Chicago. They want to fly you to L.A. so they're gonna meet with you. So I'm all excited. Like I'm still relatively new to this, and it was a supporting lead in a film. And then like 2 days later, she called. She goes, "They found a guy in New York, and it was Phil." So that was my first introduction to him. It's a terrible movie, but he was awesome in it. But yeah, he's the guy that, that's the kind of the ideal career. This guy that was able to step into, completely different characters and different roles and be wholly believable. Right. And that's what, that's what excites me. That's what I love what I do, is because I get to do that. So I've always kind of flown under the radar. Fame's a double-edged sword. If you're famous, people want to see you do what they've seen you do before. So the ability to kind of disappear into a role is much, much more difficult to do. So there's only a handful of Phil Hoffmans that ever happened.
That's true.
Hey, before you go, I wanted to ask you how you got to work with Chris Cornell before he passed for his music video.
I knew of Chris. I'd never met him. The reason I got cast in that video is because the woman that was casting it, I've known her for years, and she knew Chris was a big Deadwood fan. So it's kind of like I got an email from her. Would you be willing to? So that, but Jerry Cantrell is one of my close friends. So all of those guys, all of those Seattle guys, everyone knew each other, and Jerry and Chris were pretty good friends. But I had never met Chris until we were on the set of the video. Just the nicest dude. So phenomenally talented. So, but that was it. It was the casting. And I did it as a favor simply because I love Cornell. I'm such a music fan. And I knew of all of our mutual friends. So that's how I did it.
And a great voice. And just, yeah, it sucks when people like that go. People that you grew up with and you really got into their music and then became friends with or met or whatever. It sucks when you lose that stuff. I see you got the Doors sticker back there. Could you imagine what would have happened if Jim Morrison had lived, right? How many albums and what would he have done? And
But then, some of those flames burn so brightly, they only last a short time. Would Hank Williams have been Hank Williams had he not died that young? And Hendrix, who knows? Jim toward the end had kind of become a parody of himself.
Yeah.
Would he have come out of that and as an artist? Would he have reinvented himself like, Bob Dylan's reinvented himself, a dozen times over the years? Who knows? Don't know. But you got that body work.
Here's a 40-minute song about JFK. Ready?
That's been the record I've probably played the most in this pandemic.
Awesome record.
I love that record. And that song, if you'd told me it's a 16-minute song about the murder of JFK that's pretty much free association poetry, are you kidding me? And then it became a hit.
Yeah, I know.
So never, ever, ever underestimate anything that Bob Dylan comes up with.
Nope. Not even Knocked Out Loaded.
Well,
Earl, thank you so much for coming on the show again, man. We totally appreciate it, and we're all big fans of everything that you're doing, and certainly a little Mando guy. See, I drew them little Mando guy.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah, man. What's that, Steph? Did you want to say?
I was just gonna say I look forward to seeing you do a love scene someday where you're not raping someone. I hope to see.
I have done a few, but most of them are violent.
That's okay.
When you watch Dunsmore, you'll see 3 of them, and I don't think love would be the word to use, but I do have some funny story about filming them. So, but you have to know the movie for it to be all that funny, and I really don't think I know I can't tell the whole story on the radio. So,
good luck with everything, and let's all hope that we can run into each other at a music festival or whatever. Who cares? Let's just get back.
All right.
Thanks, Earl.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, I got this mug at TJ Maxx for $5 or $6. I'm like, I don't normally buy stupid shit like this, but I'm like, I gotta have that. I'm gonna get.
You gotta watch that gallery show, man, about the making of.
Yeah,
I got to do
Season
that.
1, so good.
Did you see? You might not have seen it, but these are like I took all these notes. That's what I've been doing, listening to podcasts lately. I take down all these notes. Stuff and buy books and shit like that. But before we get to any of that, Stephanie, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
I missed you, man.
Thank you very much. I am glad to be back.
Good.
Glad to be back. The old tragedy train came for me once more, but getting off, coming back into life again.
Well, I saw a picture on Instagram or someplace that said if 2020 were a dildo and it was a dildo, but it was also a cheese grater.
It should be that thing from 7.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh,
you
God.
made me put it on.
Yeah.
I was hoping we can just get through the next month and a half.
Nope, not gonna let you. Not gonna let you go quietly. Sorry. Not gonna let you go quietly.
He's not gonna stop till they're DJ Jazzy Jeffing his ass out on the front lawn.
And he's not even going to go to the inauguration. Well, they don't want him there anyway. I don't want to talk about it, but I mean, it's just lazy.
Sour grapes.
Christ, get out. Oh.
I know. It's just.
Oh.
I don't know, man. Help us with COVID. Can you?
I am. I got my dirt. All right. I don't want to get into it. And besides, I can't even do the fucking voice, but.
What's going on with you? You got a little spilkus and you're going to.
No.
Down.
I slipped on a rug and I fell and landed on my knees, and then I hit my head against this metal magazine rack, and then I like hit my arm against the wall, and I just screamed because it hurt so bad.
Ah!
I'm like,
are you serious?
Yeah, and they're like, ah! Ah! But it hurt, and that's how I deal with being hurt. I don't go, ow, ow. Yeah, I plosive. And
you screamed yourself.
Handle like Peter Griffin, where you just go.
You screamed yourself hoarse.
Yes, I sure did. I didn't notice it until this morning, and then I had to get up and do the radio show, and I'm like, I can't do any impressions today. He goes, just do them. No one will care. I'm like, all right.
Are you okay?
Do Bill Clinton while your voice is scratchy.
Because it's down here. I mean, I just blew out my vocal cords. So hopefully tomorrow it'll feel better.
Are your knees all banged up?
Oh yeah, my knees and my elbow and my wrist and my right hand.
Lord.
Well, I wasn't watching where I was going, and plus I was wearing slippers instead of shoes, so it was a recipe for disaster. At least nothing broke.
That's why I like to have a nice rug. You gotta have some runners down.
Doesn't I love a nice rug? Nice merkin if you can't grow one of your own. Well, we're fucking glad you're back, and yeah, and we don't
Thanks
need
for
that
taking me back.
fucking Ira back on this show. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, do you want to talk more, Steph? I feel like I'm like, hey, welcome back. Now, I mean, do you want to talk about more what you've been doing, or?
No, I'm not doing anything.
Oh, by the way,
eating hot cheese popcorn and donuts. I mean, I'm not doing anything.
Those 6 cookies that I thought, these 6, by the way, thank you again for the peanut butter volcano from Detroit Cookie Company. I was like, I'm going to put these in the freezer. And one night I told the guys on the show, I was hungry at 11:30 and it was in the freezer. I'm like, I wonder if I leave it out for a second and it'll thaw. Didn't leave it out long enough. Like, oh.
Frozen cookie?
I was like gumming it, getting it wet so it would thaw and melt.
I gotta have one of these cookies, man. You and Jeff both act
one?
like they're so damn good. No.
Oh, Steph, you got to get the peanut butter volcano, man. It's so good.
All right.
Every cookie from Detroit Cookie Company that you sent me was great.
Aw, I'm
peanut
so
butter
glad.
volcano one was the best of the best.
That girl,
paid,
she's opening a second shop up there, which is, I mean, can you imagine? That's how well she's doing in this shit economy, especially up there. She's opening a second cookie shop.
I love hearing that.
That hardcore pond building and having a cookie shop in there.
Those people were so oily, weren't they? We need the birthday cake cookie, the raspberry Oreo cheesecake, the nightcap. I said I'll eat any of these cookies except for the oatmeal raisin because that's my least favorite cookie.
I got Jeff the 8 Mile cookie, the 8 Mile mix.
Did he get shot by it? So, yes, well, then we'll play this game. I don't know. Hey, I had corona, and it's all better now. I wanted everybody to know that I got the Regeneron.
You got out of Walter Reed, okay?
Well, they gave me Regeneron because I'm so wealthy. I do own a lot of these Redboxes.
And that helps you with the interferons?
I guess. I don't know about something. All I know is I'm going to take the vaccine. I'm going to get the app on my phone so I can go to rock concerts without hassle. And then I'm going to start a black market company that, under the table will give you positive or negative results for the virus. So that's the future of America. Here's your papers. Yes, they are forgeries. So, would you like to play? There was a game when we were younger, when you humans were younger, called Madlibs, and Boy Scouts and campouts and Girl Scouts and slumber parties. They would make dirty little things. So what we've done is I take a movie synopsis and we do a little bit of the same thing. So if you guys are ready, we'll play.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Steph, in honor of you being back, you get to take the first turn. Adjective.
Foamy.
Okay. Jeff, one word insult.
Slut.
Speaking of that, Tim had to edit out some words that Kostaki Economopoulos said last week.
Oh.
We're talking about tracks on an Eddie Murphy record, and one of them began with an F. All right. Stephanie, destination. Not a
Belize.
Okay. There's something else.
Oh, the Strand.
Like if you're going home or like to work.
Oh, okay. I got you. Church.
Ah. Jeff, any American city?
Kissimmee, Florida.
Is there 2 E's at the end? Steph, a holiday. Any holiday?
Groundhog's Day.
Jeff, a plural noun indicating a group. Plural noun group.
Nuns.
Stephanie, noun, means of travel.
Flying.
Okay, hang on. Jeff, verb past tense.
Screwed.
Stephanie, adjective.
Sloppy.
Jeff, U.S. state.
Utah.
Stephanie, weather phenomenon.
Tsunami.
Jeff, verb.
Spit.
Stephanie, only a few more of these. I know it's driving you crazy, but don't do that. Stephanie, verb, please.
Flog.
Jeff, insulting adjective.
Adjective.
Mm-hmm.
Filthy.
Okay. Adverb, Stephanie.
Adverb.
L-Y. You remember Tom there.
Adverb. Let me get your adverbs here. I don't know.
Stupidly.
Stupidly.
Okay. Jeff, adjective.
Fuchsia.
Fuchsia? That's a color. Okay.
That could be a descriptive word.
Stephanie, verb. There's only 3 more after this. Stephanie, verb.
Sidekick.
No, that's a noun. It can be, oh, you mean like a kick?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Side kick. Duh. Stupid Redbox troll. Jeff, noun.
Dildo.
Steph, verb.
Banging.
Okay. Jeff, noun. This is the last one.
Spoon.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
Let her rip.
All right. Easily phony Neil Page is somewhat of a control slut. Trying to get Church to Kissimmee, Florida to spend Groundhog's Day with his wife and nuns, his plane is screwed to a sloppy city in Utah because of a freak tsunami, and his sanity begins to spit. Worse yet, he is forced to flog up with filthy Del Griffith, whom he finds stupidly fuchsia. Together, they must sidekick the insanity of Holiday Dildo to banging their intended spoon.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
And dildos.
Dildos.
Yes. That's it. Now, if you all have any ideas out there, you radios or you Patreon members, send me a message. Send any of us a message. By the way, you can follow us on Twitter at @radio_labyrinth, Facebook, facebook.com Radio Labyrinth. There's also the what is that page called again? Oh yeah, the Radio Shack.
Radio Shack.
And Dustin has kicked ass, and we are on YouTube. So you go to youtube.com/Radio Labyrinth podcasts. And guys, I'm about running out of gas, but we have some more stuff to talk about. So why don't we talk about what we watched?
The Mando, of course.
Yes.
I'm watching Star Trek Discovery. Steph, you watching this season? Are you caught up?
No, I never have finished it. Yeah, I haven't finished the other season.
So good. What else? Moonbase 8. It's hilarious.
I want to watch that. Yeah. So is it worth it, really?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
All right.
That's the John C. Reilly, Tim Heidecker, Fred Armisen show, where they're like on Earth in a moon base set up by NASA to test whether they can go to the moon or not.
I want to see that.
Hilarity ensues. You can watch it on my Showtime app.
Oh, okay.
All 8 episodes are available now, by the way.
Now, this is what I wanted to ask you. Steph, you guys are both watching The Undoing, and now, Steph, you recommended that. Do you both like it? Because we haven't started it yet.
It's good. I like it.
Jeff,
I wasn't sure I was going to stick with it, but it's intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea who did it.
Right. They do a really good diversion back and forth where you're thinking, oh, is it the husband? But no, is it Bull? And now is it her? I mean,
is it her? Is it him?
You know who I think it is, though, Jeff?
The dad? Donald Sutherland?
No. I think it's her. No. I think it's the friend, the attorney, the one that represented him behind her back before. I think he was banging her, too, and she killed her. That's what
Wow.
I think. That's my theory. So we will see if that's true. But it's
Yeah, I don't know who it could
acted.
be. I haven't read the book or anything. I have no spoilers, so I can't say, but they're doing a good job of setting it up, so or it could be anybody.
Yeah, it's really good, Tim. I really think you'd like it. Hugh Grant is great.
We have it on the DVR. We're going to get to it. You know, we had to watch the Below Deck season premiere. So
I watched all of Wayne on Steph's recommendation. That was great. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, you'll like that.
It was a YouTube YouTube premiere, the pay YouTube show.
See, I didn't know where it came from. I didn't know any of the
I
backstory.
think like Cobra Kai, it was one of those pay YouTube shows, and probably nobody ever watched it because not a lot of people subscribe to that. But since it pay YouTube whatever shut down, they sold off Cobra Kai to Netflix. They sold this Wayne to Amazon, so hopefully they'll make more of them because it was great.
That's what I was going to ask you. Have you seen? Is it getting a season 2? You don't know.
I have not seen anything, and the guy said he hopes to make more. The creator.
You guys talk so much. I got it written down. I'm going to check it out.
The preacher from Deadwood is his dad. He's only in the first episode, but
Ray McKinnon.
yeah, Ray McKinnon plays his dad, and he looks a lot like him. So it was really good casting on that kid that they got to play Wayne.
The sheriff of the town and his deputy, the two of them, they are so funny. It's a total gold. But yeah, it's definitely a dramedy.
It's so nihilist and punk rock though. It's like it's amazing.
It's very nihilist.
Yeah.
It must be very disgusting.
I watched the whole thing on Saturday, all of it. And I watched that Adult Swim Aqua Teen panel. Did you watch that?
That's the only part of it I watched was the Aqua Teen panel. I love the puppet stuff with Carl and Meatloaf. Right. That was very funny. I talked to Dave. He said they weren't allowed to talk about it until it came out.
Right.
Where he's like the rest of us, antsy, ready to get the fuck out of lockdown and get back to being creative again. I mean, it's easy. We can do this thing, but I mean, going and what he does for a living and stuff, it must be driving those guys crazy.
Dana Snyder was hilarious on that.
I know. Did you
watch it? Yeah, on YouTube.
The trivia thing was hilarious. They did Aqua Teen trivia, and Carrie Means kept winning, and Dana's like, I don't know that.
I'll have to watch that.
Good lobbing Carrie Means all these softballs.
Yeah.
Like he was bad there. Carrie's questions were easy.
Yeah. Carrie Means is pretty fun to follow on Instagram. He does these little montage drawings of all the characters and different scenarios, and he colors them in. They're really cool.
Yeah.
So you have a staff pick?
I'm the only one that did a staff pick. Yeah, it has Dark Materials. You guys weren't into it, but it was so good. Season 1 and season 2 starts tonight as we record on HBO.
Well, let us know what you think of it.
Season 2 is great. I watched it already because they showed it in England last week.
Oh, so you have your HBO England.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Steph, what did you watch?
Mando, Undoing, Colin Quinn and Friends, a parking lot show on HBO Max.
Who's on that with him?
Oh, let's see. Keith Robinson, Krista Stefano. Of course, his host is Goomba. What's his name? The one that's married to Bonnie McFarlane.
Oh, this guy.
Rich Voss.
Yeah, Rich Voss. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's the host. This one Marina, I forget what her name is. She was really funny, but it's funny more between their interaction with each other in between each set, because here they are performing to a bunch of cars in front of the New York City skyline, and just each time whenever they go back and start talking, they just break each other's balls about how shitty this is and how some of them actually do well and some of them just don't. They're not gonna, like Chris Stefano, he was terrible. He did awful. But then, a couple other people get up there and they do pretty well, and they're getting lots of honks, lots of light flashes.
Honky.
Yeah. But I think you'd like it. Definitely watch it. I think you'll like it a lot. Forged in Fire. I've gotten on such a jag of Forged in Fire. Love this damn show. I've been watching them make these fucking knives and swords and shit.
Oh, nice.
It's so soothing to me. I find it, I don't know what it is. just the fact that these people have their home kilns or whatever the hell, and they're doing the shit at the house. But anyway, Fortune Fire. And the show that I've been watching the most is this Animal Kingdom show, the one with Ellen Barkin, where she's the mom.
Christina Ochoa from Blood Drive is on that.
She's on there, yes. And it's such a trashy show. It's so trashy.
What's that on?
It's on
PBS.
Prime.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a TNT show, but they've got all 4 seasons in Prime. And I just started watching it, and then I just couldn't. It's like they're robbing some shit, they're burning crap on the beach, and then I'm pretty sure she fucked all of her sons. She's trying to fuck her grandson.
She's a good mom.
It's pretty, that's what I'm saying. And she definitely fucked at least 2 of the sons or something. Really, that's how trashy the show is. But it's a good show. I mean, it is. There's always some shit going on. So anyway, Animal Kingdom, I recommend that. Holiday Baking Championship. Finally, thank you God, because of the social distancing, that fucking Nancy, she's always feeding Jesse Palmer off her fork, and she gets her old lady Gillies off of feeding him with this fork. I hated it. It infuriates me.
That's funny.
So finally this year, because of COVID, she can't do it. I live for it. And I know I can see her over there with her little old hand. It's just killing her. She wants to put her fork in his mouth so bad. She can't.
You're the one that uses a different spoon for every bite of your ice cream, so it makes sense that you'd be mad about that.
It's true. No, I just hate it because you can tell she's getting her jollies off on it, and he has to do it. It makes me it's so Me Too-ish in a creepy old lady way. But we just have to accept it because she's a fucking old lady, but it's still Me Too-ing. And here's Jesse's like this young hot football player guy, and he's got to put up with this shit. So I'm very glad. So COVID has fixed one thing this year.
Well, not enough. Do you have a staff pick?
I would say, if anything, it would be probably Chris Stapleton's new album. I really like it a lot. It came out Friday, so throw that on Spotify, and it's really good.
I'll have to do that this week. Damn stamps. I have been doing the most I can to keep my brain from getting sucked into the political vortex in the Twitter world, all that. So I've been listening to podcasts and dipping my foot back in the what the fuckers, what's up, hey guys, hey, you get these cat treats, they're I'll probably be able to do it after I listen more. But he had Frank Langella on, Rhea Seehorn. Look, I love both of those people, and both of them were really, really entertaining. And the reason I like them is the same reason a lot of people do, is you can get inspired listening to people who won't give up. And another one, Tim Robbins, who was really, really amazing on Gilbert Gottfried's amazing Colossal podcast. Very good interview. And not a lot of Gilbert interruptions, mostly Frank doing it. So, it was more focused. Huh?
I listened to John Leguizamo on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, just in case there was any insight, because he was on that episode
too. Yeah, Mandalorian. Yeah.
I was hoping maybe there would be a little insight that we could work into the W. Earl Brown interview, but they didn't talk about Mandalorian at all, so it must have been taped.
Yeah, or he wouldn't allow it. And like I said earlier, I watched A Teacher with Kate Mara. I'm only on. Well, it only drops once a week, so I'm caught up on that. Fargo, I'm not caught up, even though I said I was. Truth Seekers, I'm really, really loving, and I don't know if you guys are into that or not. But
I like it.
I'm into it, but I'm not binging like all of it.
Me either. I'm watching one a week or two a week. I get
Moonbase too.
I get a Doctor Who feel off of it. Maybe dark. I don't know, not Dark Shadows, but I get a little Doctor Who vibe because there's a little setup now at the beginning, and then they solve it. And it's just a fun show. I really love Malcolm McDowell on it.
Really good after episode 5 too. So I'm excited.
Oh, really? Like even more?
Episode 5.
Yeah. It's a fun show. Nick Frost is great. I love Samson Kayo as Elton John. That's fantastic. And Emma Darcy, is that how you say her name? I don't know. She's good too. Let's see. I rewatched The Matrix because it came up it was either HBO Max or one of those apps. And that movie holds up. The first one. So I'm going to watch it. Yeah, it's a good movie. And it was nice to revisit it because that wasn't one of those films I watched over and over again. and I really liked it. And my staff pick is the Jerky Boys Live, which I bought a ticket for, and I also get the album to download. That's next Friday. So actually, the Friday after Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, how much are those tickets, by the way? I saw they were doing the live. I said I was interested, and then I immediately messaged Johnny to see if he would come on, and if he doesn't want to talk about the album, he can talk about the live event.
Well, it's $25 for the album and the live event. So
Okay.
I don't know what the other price is. But it streams at 9 p.m. Eastern time on Friday, and it's just going to be him, and he'll be, I don't know, they'll be talking about the new record, and I look forward to it. I don't really sign up for shit like this, but this I will because I like Johnny and I like supporting him.
Yeah, I'd like to do that too.
So hopefully we'll have him on to maybe just for a few minutes talk about it.
Yeah, he said he's been swamped with people asking for interviews, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep after him, and hopefully he'll be able to. But I understand if he can't.
Yeah, well,
You
we're,
did a great job getting Earl Brown back, man.
yeah, that was awesome. Thanks again, Jeff.
Yeah, I've been bugging, putting a bug in his ear ever since he hinted that he might be involved in the Mandalorian. So I said, as soon as your NDA clears, come talk to us.
He's so nice.
Maybe we'll get Timothy Olyphant. See, I can't
That'd
do
be cool.
All right, everybody. I'm going to go suck some ice cubes.
Mm.
I have a nice cylindrical one in the freezer waiting for me.
Need a little tea
still do?
with some honey.
I know.
That's what you need.
I have
I
my,
told him to gargle some Epsom salts, but he said he wanted tea with honey.
Oh.
you don't gargle Epsom salt, do you? You gargle. Do you? I didn't know that. I thought I gargle after I soak my feet in it.
Can we end with a memory? I remembered something today, and I wondered if you guys share this memory of going to Pizza Hut with your parents, and you put songs on the jukebox, and somebody was ahead of you, and you have to wait through all their frickin' songs, and your song is coming, and then your parents are like, when we're done eating, we're leaving. You're like, no, my song is coming, damn it. We can't leave yet.
Can't we get one more pitcher of Coca-Cola?
So my song comes on.
I remember Pizza Hut with the fake gingham tablecloth or the whatever, and then you got the big piece, and it was good. Like, it doesn't taste like that anymore.
It's not as good now.
No. But I'm going to try the Beyond Meat pizza. I'm going to try that this weekend, and I'll let you know.
All right. Hopefully the pepperoni tastes good. I imagine the Beyond Meat pepperoni is good.
Well, it's not pepperoni. It's sausage.
Oh, well, whatever. I'm sure
no one's perfected pepperoni yet. They just can't. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it. But anyway, I just wondered if you guys had shared that memory. It
wasn't Pizza Hut, but I was in a bar one time, and the owner of the bar used to always play Piano Man on the jukebox.
Mm-hmm.
And so the bartender gave me like 10 free credits. So I played Piano Man 10 times in a row. And then I left.
Yeah.
Dude, after it started the second time, you went down and plugged the jukebox.
Where was this?
In Tortola when I lived there.
Well, at Papa V's was a pizza place in our hometown where Jeff and I lived. And I went in there one time and I put $5 in it, which was a lot in 1988. And I played Pump Up the Volume, Mars Needs Women. I played that as many times as possible and walked out. But Pizza Hut, I have a Pizza Hut memory. An old friend of mine, old roommate Mark, won't say his last name. He and I used to go to dumpster diving every once in a while. And we had this scam. You would call the pizza place, not the chain, but you call this other chain and order a sheet pizza. And you get like something nobody wants on a portion of it. And then you don't go pick it up. Well, they throw it away. And then after, an hour after they close, you go get it out of the dumpster, free pizza.
Gross.
They put it in a bag. But then one night we were so fucked up drunk. We was like, there's nothing at Pudgy's. Let's go to Pizza Hut. So we went down to Pizza Hut in their dumpster. And we were, like I said, we were fucked up. And there was a garbage can full of breadsticks. So I threw it over my shoulder like Santa Claus, and we walked back, and we were throwing them at shit and eating. You could also go to Dunkin' Donuts if you went there at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and they would throw out the bags of the old donuts, and you could take those into the park and use them as Frisbees and eat them. It's fun.
We're little hobo children. I never thought to get food out of the damn dumpster.
Hey, man, free stuff, man. Free food. All right, Steph, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to see that you're back, and we'll see you next week. And Jeff, thank you for lining up W. Earl Brown, and hopefully,
man.
Thanks to him for coming on.
Yeah, man. All right.
You guys want to do their table reread or no?
I can't do it tonight because of my voice.
Yeah.
I just won't. That'll sound terrible, but we can skip it the week. I have one to post, so if you haven't seen it yet, by the time people see it, okay, it'll be up there. But yeah, we'll do the one you posted next weekend. All right, guys. Until next week, keep it
Keep it canon.
Bye.
Bye.